Hi everybody, and you're very welcome back to this lesson where we're going to look at adding error messaging to our sign-up form that tells our users what's prevented a sign-up. By default, Rails provides error messaging based on the user model validations. So let's take a look and fire up the Rails console. So down here in the bottom half of my screen, Rails console. There we go. Okay, so here we are, and let's create a new user object or a new user, whatever you want to say. User equals user.new, so we're well used to this at this stage, or we're well used to this process at this stage. Name, Tony, email, Tony at example. Now I'm purposely not completing the email address. Password, pass, and password confirmation. Pass. There we go. Let me just double check everything I've just entered. Name, Tony, it's a name followed by a colon. Name, Tony, comma, email, Tony at example, comma, password, colon. Okay, everything's good. Let's hit enter. So there we go. User ID nil, but it's been created. Okay. Now, what happens if we try and save this user? So user.save. Okay, the user exists. Of course it does. But let's check the error messages that a user would have seen when they tried this process via the user interface. So user.errors.full_messages. Hit enter. There we go, look at that. Email is invalid, which we know, and the password is too short. Perfect. So in this example, errors.full_messages contains an array of error messages, and we can see that with the opening and closing square brackets. Our previous code will generate a list of error messages associated with the instance variable user object. In order to display these error messages, we'll render an error messages partial on the user's new page. We're also going to add the CSS class form control to each entry field. So let's take a look at how we do that now. So go to app/views/users/new.html.erb. So over here my left hand side I have it already open, new. There we go. Now on line 6 here I want to hit enter and I'm going to add in a new line. So just let me tab across by 2 spaces. There we go. And I'm going to say, open up my embedded Ruby code, render, open up single quotation marks, shared, /error underscore messages. There we go. Quotation marks closed, close my embedded Ruby code marker. There we go. Now, let me add in a space just to separate it out. Now, starting at line 10, so at each line where we have the field, so the input field, so here you can see text, email, password, password confirmation field. So at each line where we have the field, we're going to add in one more piece of code. So we're going to have here text underscore field colon name. We're going to start there. We're going to have comma, class. And what's that class going to be? Well, it's going to be called form-control. There we go. Close it out. That's it. We're going to add the same piece of code or the same line of code to each text field in the sign up form. So let me paste that. So let me copy this, go down to email, comma, space. There we go. Next onto the password line. Here we go, or the password field I should say. There we go. Next onto the password confirmation, comma. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Perfect. We've rendered a partial called shared/error underscore messages. This is a common Rails convention of using a dedicated shared directory for partials which are used across multiple controllers. So we need to create this directory in app, views and shared. So here we are, app views, and we have no shared here, as you can see. So app views, and we need to create a new shared directory. So in here, new folder, we're just going to simply call that shared. There we go. And what are we going to put in shared? Well, let's put in a new file. And what's that file going to be called? It's a partial, so it begins with an underscore, followed by error underscore messages .html.erb. Oh, look, I've spelled error wrong. That would have come back to bite me. There we go. Error underscore messages.html. Oh, look at that. Very good. At least I caught it this time. ERB. There we go. So this new partial refers back here in our new file, shared error underscore messages, and you can see the names match up. Great. Haven't saved that line or that file, so let me save it there. Now, back in my partial. We need to add in the following code. What I'm going to do is, there's a bit of code here, so I'm going to pause this lesson and come back in just a moment. Okay guys, so here we are back, and as you can see, I have entered in some code here, and you can pause this video now and enter this code yourself, or wait for a few moments and then do it offline. Alternatively, you can download this from my GitHub account. Now, so let's start at the top. So if there are any errors, so you can see here we've used a new method, any, with a return of boolean, so true or false. So if there are any errors, so let's assume that there are, so then we've entered in some CSS code, so we've created a couple of divs. And down here in this line, the form contains, so it's pretty easy to read. So this form contains, so imagine if you were the user, you just entered in a couple of error messages. This form contains user.errors.count, so count the errors, error, so 5 errors, 6 errors. And you can also see we've used the very helpful pluralize method, which, as you can guess, pluralizes the responses if there are any error messages. Following that, we have a block down here which iterates through any messages and then displays them in a list. So save that, guys, and now let's jump back into the Rails console to have a look at how the pluralize method works. So here I am down here. I'm still in my console from the previous lesson. So let's say helper.pluralize one error. Let's see what I get back. One error. Perfect. Let's do the same again, but this time let's say 10. Hit enter. 10 errors. Excellent. So you can see there it's pluralized. What happens if I enter in a word like man or dog? So let's take out error and let's enter in dog. 10 dogs. Excellent. So pluralize, very helpful and very handy to know. So as a result of the code we've just added, when Rails receives an invalid submission, the fields with errors are wrapped in divs with the CSS class field underscore with underscore errors. So this means that we need to style error messages using CSS in our custom.scss file. Let's go there now. So here it is here, app, assets, style sheets, custom. Let's go all the way down to the end. Enter in a couple of spaces. And as you can see, we're putting this in our form section, or we're keeping it in our form section, because as we know, this is error messages for a sign up form. Hash error underscore explanation. So it's there for me, autocomplete. Open up curly brackets. Color red. Don't forget to close with a semicolon. Next, let's style the unordered list, UL. Open curly brackets, color red. Everything's red when an error message is involved. Red. Margin. What margin we want to give it? Let's say 0, 0, 30 pixels, 0. Close semicolon. Close our curly brackets by 2 there. Great. Next, field with errors. Curly brackets. At extend dot has error, so extend dot has error. I put underscore, should be hyphen, has error. Dot form control. What are we going to put in there? Color. $, state, danger, text. close with a semicolon, close off our 2 curly brackets. Perfect, let's save that. Now, let's exit our console and let's start our server. Okay, let's go to our application. Here we are. Create an account. Create my account. Okay guys, so we have an error message, which I was not expecting, but as I can see here, it's in the user's controller in the create action. And as I look at that, I know what's wrong. Let's jump across. Here I am here in my user's controller. And in the create action, we have @user equals user.new user params. But down here in a previous lesson, we created the new method user_params. And we haven't used that yet, or we haven't made use of it yet. So what we need to do is, up here, replace this piece of text with that method, user_params. Let me save that. Jump back into my application, go to the home page, let it all refresh, click create account, create my account. What have I got? I've got another error. Let's take a look. And look at that. User.errors. I haven't used the instance variable. So where's that? Look, there we go. @user.errors. There we go. Let's go for third time lucky. So you'll notice now a familiar pattern that I do make a lot of mistakes, which is good and bad for a programmer. Good from a learning perspective, bad from my timekeeping perspective. Let me go to the home page. Create account. Create my account. There we go. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. The form contains 6 errors. The name can't be blank. The email can't be blank. The email is invalid, obviously. Password can't be blank. Password can't be blank. That should say password confirmation. So we'll go back to that. And the password is too short. Okay guys, we'll leave it there for this lesson. We have covered an awful lot. In the next lesson, we're going to see how we can use Rails to test for invalid submissions. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you there.